Shalom. Kids, I want you to stay here, but if you don't think you can sit quietly for 15 minutes, go out, come back in 15 minutes, but if you stay, you got to listen. I say that to the adults, by the way, too. Anybody, feel free. We're streaming outside. As I was standing in these enormous lines with my daughter at our chaotic polling station this week, I don't know why someone can't fix this. She, for the first time, as a first-time voter, and me, well, I can't believe that I've done this so many times already. The same feeling I always get when voting washed over me again. There's something so miraculous about American democracy. America itself is a miracle in so many ways. So many people fought for what we had this week, rivers of blood, millennia of struggle, symbolized by this week's peaceful transfer of power. I know that I'm a hopeless romantic. I know that it's much more complicated than that, and a much more cynical view can be advanced. Still, as we were waiting for 2 hours, we spoke with people in line, our neighbors, and you could feel the civic spirit despite the frustration. Everyone was friendly. There was a commonality of purpose. They wouldn't have waited so long otherwise. That commonality of purpose also had political intention, which itself is a positive thing. For the first time, I don't know how it was, but I guess it was this way everywhere, but for the first time, our polling station had these scanners instead of those curtains in the privacy booths, and we filled out our votes by, did you all do this? By paper ballot. Whatever. And then went into another line to scan the vote. They jammed. And the lines were so long and people were so crunched together that I could see the ballot of others. I know it's supposed to be private, but believe me, in that polling station there was no privacy. And when I saw how most people voted, I'm not going to tell you how they voted, but I want to remind you, my polling station is on the Upper East Side. I felt that they had all a commonality of purpose as well. Civic-minded and politically focused as well. In many ways, I feel that Election Day is a unique American festival, a countrywide holiday of the miracle of American democracy, a Thanksgiving Day of sorts, several weeks before Thanksgiving. In the end, this commonality of purpose, this shared sense of destiny, this basic concern about our shared future is the thread that binds the American fabric together. And it is the essential spirit that has animated the leaders of our synagogue and so many New Yorkers and so many Americans since Hurricane Sandy. We care about each other. We care about our neighbors. We feel a common sense of destiny and cause and common compassion. And we are compelled to do something. We demand of ourselves, and others demand of us that we do something. But not only are these sentiments the American way, they are also the Jewish way. We have been taught since the dawn of Judaism that if there is someone in distress, you help. You don't ask too many questions. You don't recite too many prayers. You don't waste too much time. You do what you can to help. First, save the person in need. First, extend a hand. First, pull them out of the raging waters, and then there will be plenty of time to figure out other things about philosophy and theology. Life comes first. Dignity comes first. It's not charity. We don't really have a Hebrew word for charity. Charity is not really within Jewish tradition. Charity implies some act of grace that you do voluntarily because it makes you feel good. It's tzedakah, our obligation. That too should make us feel good, but our feelings are secondary to our responsibilities to act. As always in Judaism, we are measured not primarily by what we say, but by what we do. Not by what we feel, but by how we act. And therefore, motivated and propelled both by our American civic spirit as well as the fundamental teachings of Judaism, over the past 2 weeks, we have created here in this synagogue a relief-spreading, mitzvah-doing machine. A machine that creates an economy of power, that harnesses all 2,500 of us to do good and to bring relief. We have constructed this machine for the long term, long after many New Yorkers will have forgotten about the suffering and moved on with their lives. We've defined both short-term and long-term objectives and have created opportunities for steady involvement for everyone, from our youngest toddlers to our most mature adults. In the short term, first, we ask that you continue to make contributions to the Stephen Wise Hurricane Relief Fund. Just in the past week, in 1 week, our synagogue members have contributed thousands and thousands of dollars, and I know that they've contributed to other funds as well. On Wednesday, the Board of Trustees will decide on at least partial allocation because we don't want to sit on the money. We want to get it working right away. Second, we ask that between now and next Sunday, November 18th, that you donate goods from the list that we sent you in the letter that we sent this week. Let us gather mountains of stuff that people need. Batteries, flashlights, aspirins, diapers, cleaning utensils, hygienic supplies. The full list is on our website. You can get it from anybody who works here as well. Whenever you're in the synagogue, between now and next Sunday, bring something with you and drop it off upstairs in the relevant containers. And whenever your children are in the synagogue, put something in their bag so that they can walk upstairs and donate some goods for the cause here at the synagogue. And come back on Sunday morning, 9 days from now, and help us to load the truck and get much needed relief into people's hands. But this is only the short term. We have also built a system that will last and attend to the long-term needs of our neighbors. Anyone who is prepared to volunteer their time and their skills, come to the general meeting that we are convening, led by our lay volunteers, on Thursday, November 15th at 6:30 p.m., and our lay leaders will present to you our strategy and needs for the long term. We want everyone to be involved. Everyone to be involved. We want everyone to do something. We'll have projects in the nursery school. We'll have projects in the religious school. We expect to create a relationship with a synagogue that has been severely damaged on Long Island and help them through the crisis. We need not only manual laborers, which is good. We also need skilled professionals, attorneys, architects, medical doctors, insurance specialists, social workers, mental health experts, engineers, financial experts, anyone who can play a role. Let us know who you are. Send an email to David Gilbert, the president of our congregation, and get involved. Do what you can. Our tradition emphasizes that we are not obligated to finish the task, but neither are we permitted to desist from it. We will provide the institutional framework so that you can fit right in and devote your skills and your time. When tragedy strikes, whether on a large scale or on a personal level, people often ask, where is God? Jewish sages have dedicated millennia of thought to this philosophical problem. But beyond the philosophical dilemma, we have also derived certain basic teachings. Judaism does not teach us how to avoid tragedy. It focuses on how to respond to tragedy. Judaism does not teach us how to avoid suffering, misery, loss, and death. They will strike all of us inevitably. But rather, Judaism teaches how to respond to suffering, misery, loss, and death. Judaism teaches us to emerge from the cave of selfishness and from the den of indifference and to hear the cries for help. Help me! To hear this cry is enough for us to mobilize and to do our best. There's a Jewish legend of a son walking with his father. The boy is distressed as they pass hungry beggars in the streets, people who are desperately ill, and those who are enduring great suffering. "This is terrible," the boy said to his father. "How can God allow this? Why doesn't God send help?" "God did send help," the father responded. "God has sent you. God has sent us." Our tradition refers to Jews as Rachmanim b'nei Rachmanim, compassionate ones, the children of compassionate ones. According to our tradition, compassion is the defining feature of a Jew. If someone is compassionate towards others, states the Talmud, you can be sure that he is the descendant of our father Abraham. And if someone is not compassionate to another, you can be sure that he is not a descendant of our father Abraham. Let us be descendants of our father Abraham and do something. Americans are at our best, and religion is at its best, when we emphasize not what separates us, but what unites us. Americans are at our best, and religion is at its best when we teach collective responsibility. We are all created in the image of God, and we are therefore all individually and collectively responsible one for the other. Americans are at our best, and religion is at its best when we acknowledge the brokenness of our world and work to repair. Americans are at our best, and religion is at its best when we emphasize hope, not despair. After services, I urge you to come downstairs for our commemoration of Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass when Nazis destroyed hundreds of synagogues and Jewish-owned businesses and institutions during the night of November 9th, exactly this night, 9th and 10th in 1938. We'll have musical renditions downstairs, and members of our congregation who were on the mission to Eastern Europe last summer will present photographs and describe their thoughts and emotions. What we experienced in Eastern Europe was mostly death and destruction, evil in its most naked form. However, there were also examples of enormous righteousness and courage extended by people who had nothing to gain except for the preservation of human dignity and had everything to lose. There were people who braved death to extend the hand of friendship and compassion and to discharge their human obligation. And we learned yet again that one act of kindness, one act of compassion can change a person's life. There are families alive today because someone did something compassionate all those years ago. There are children born today who would have never been born had it not been for basic human kindness extended long ago in days gone by. The world is so broken and is in such need of repair that there are times that we become despondent. The problems are immense. What can one person do? What can one synagogue do? What can one community do? Our tradition teaches us to mend the world one person at a time. We do what we can, starting with our own families, our own neighborhoods, and our own communities. The anthropologist Loren Eiseley told a story that summed up his attitude to life. An old man was walking on the beach at dawn when he noticed a young man picking up starfish stranded by the retreating tide, and the young man was throwing them back into the sea one by one. The old man went up to the younger one and asked him why he was doing this. The young man responded, the starfish would die if they would be exposed to the morning sun. But the beach goes on for miles, and there are thousands of starfish, said the older man. You will not be able to save them all. How can your efforts make a difference? The young man looked at the starfish in his hand and said, to this one, it makes a difference. And he threw the starfish into the ocean. We cannot bring relief to all people who have been harmed. We cannot repair the world in one fell swoop. We cannot do it alone. But to those who we do help, it will make a difference. And as our sages emphasize, change one life, and you begin to change the world.